Hello and welcome to Midnight Scribe's Creative Vibes, where we speak to the best of the Bronies and discover what makes them tick. Now, here is a man with a proud declaration for the world. I'm a Brony and I'm proud. Well, I think we can all identify with that statement, right? His talk show of the same name is now in its third season and he's had guests on including Aviators, Marley Harris and Brandon Fisher. He's also an Australian who lives in Australia, which makes sense, so we're doing a very international call with him today. It's midday here, it's midnight there. I can only hope one of us doesn't have a nap halfway through the show. But today, my guest is none other than Lucas, aka Lucky Knight. Lucas, how are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you very much for such a lovely intro. My goodness. And it's like, I'm an important brony? Wow, how did that happen?
Everyone's an important Brony. It's all about the community coming together. It's absolutely brilliant. And, you know, I mean, what can I say? I mean, like, whenever you have a guest on, you've got to flatter them a little bit at the beginning, haven't you?
I guess so.
It's like that. It's like, what's the old saying? Sticks and stones may break my bones, but flattery will open all doors in life.
I'm going to steal that.
It's all yours. Go for it. Please have it. Enjoy it. Love it. Although, having said that, you might not even need it. I mean, your show, which I mentioned in the intro, I'm Brony and I'm proud. You're in your third season. You're doing really well for yourself. I mean, how did the show come about?
Oh, how did it come about? My goodness. I think it was curiosity. Even before, going to the Brony thing, I think it started even a little bit earlier the process. I think it was about a year beforehand where, when one person says something about you and then two is like, oh, and then three people say the same thing, then you have to do it. So three people, not at the same time, said I had a voice for radio. And I thought, well, after, a month's time and the third person said it, I was like, okay, well, that could be a cool thing to do. And I thought, okay, well, I'll try community radio. And the radio station at the time when I was in Brisbane, they said I would have to volunteer for 6 months before I could have my own show. That's a little bit longer than I would have willing to dedicate to this enterprise. And I thought, well, it was at a time in sort of like 2014 when I was starting to get a much bigger footing in the fandom, I think, especially the communities, Australia-based, of course. But I was still wondering, what is a Brony? And I was thinking, do I even call myself a Brony? What does define one? And eventually it sort of spurred on. It's like, well, I know a lot of Bronies in the community. I might as well just ask them. And I think the idea sort of came through a discussion I had with Paul Hoxener, who is, of course, from the pilot, and father to a beautiful daughter, Chloe. And Paul's also known as Freefall, and Chloe is known as Swiftwings as well. So we've got all of our OC names. And so I put up on Facebook and in the groups, and about 20 people put their hands up. Yeah, I'd love to share my story on your show. I was like, oh, wow, okay. So, just within, 24 hours already, it's like, oh, wow, I already have 2 seasons of guests. So starting to, get to know what, I guess, being an Australian Brony was. And then I was thinking, well, it would be cool to have some kind of special guests on it. So people constantly ask me, how did you get this person on your show? Well, Twitter. Just simply asking them. It's like, and usually sometimes it was good timing. Like with Aviators, it was just the right time. He was sort of on the downtime. It's like, yeah, I'd like to be on your podcast. And of course, I'm a big, massive bulk biceps fan, or Snowflake or Roid Rage to those playing at home. Michael Dobson and I, we became instant best buds, which is really, really fantastic. And it's so special to have that kind of relationship with a voice actor that you admire. And it's interesting what you said about Marley Harris. That was unexpected for me. I was dead certain that the pilot would reach 100 streams, but it was actually Marley's episode. Now, Marley's, just, I guess, a regular Australian Brony, but he's most famous for commissioning so much artwork of his OC, so that certainly fascinated me. And then also having the shake-ups in Ponyville, that was my first sort of musician couple interview, and that was a lot of fun, and got a good ongoing relationship with them. And then I guess and then sort of spurring on into season 3, which broadcasting on Cantlewood Hill, and that's quite a big honor to be in the same arena as Everfree Radio. So working alongside some of the biggest names in the fandom, which is really great. And then so now, then the challenge was like, well, I have to somehow tie it in with my job and find that right time slot. And like you were saying, the time differences can be interesting. So, I mean, I broadcast on Monday mornings, 6 a.m. my time, and it's just 4 o'clock in the afternoon United States time. So on a Sunday, so it's I think Sunday is quite a good time for it. So. And originally the format was, I think I'd record an hour, and sometimes it would be a 24-minute, 20-minute episode. But then I would have sometimes really short ones, and I'd sort of bundle them together to try and get the time up. And now the new structure is, record a 1.5-hour interview for almost a guaranteed 30-minute episode. It's quite a bit of work because like I'm saying, for those who know my show. You won't really hear a single or or like, etc. So this is probably a rare sort of unplugged glimpse into who is Lucky Knight, who is Lucas Krasovsky. So 2 seasons into the show, I went to my first Brony convention, PonyCon AU, and it was so unexpected. The night before the convention was set to start, I discovered I already had fans. Then they already recognized me from the podcast, so it was very humbling to realize that I was already starting to get a bit horse famous, and it's sort of been growing from there. And Lycan This Beats on Campbell Hill, he encouraged me to get a panel going. So not only had I just done 2 seasons of show that's already getting some ground, getting some footwork. I was hosting a panel about podcasters with Lycan as well. So what's going to happen now? Well, I guess it's to gradually, just continue to churn out episodes as best I can and continue to reach an audience. And it's been a very interesting journey just from late 2014 to where it is now.
Oh, definitely. I mean, you've grown quite fast, and particularly we've obviously mentioned that you're in Australia, and you briefly just talked there about the Australian Brony fandom. I mean, could you go into that a little bit more about what is the Brony community like there?
I think the best way I can answer that is that if I can probably take a state-by-state approach. Australia is made up of a few states. I'm currently living in Victoria, which is home to the Mel/Vic Bronies, Mel short for Melbourne. I would say that it's probably the most open of the group, I guess, and kind of easygoing, but sort of smart as well. And then we've got Bronies of New South Wales, which generally are the trolls. They love a good troll, and it took me a while to get used to that, but I love them all. And then there's Tasmanian Bronies, which is a little bit more quieter because it's most southern state. And then, of course, Queensland Bronies, which really, helped propel me in the fandom and, of course, propelled the show when I was living in Queensland before moving back down to where I'm living now in Ararat, Victoria, which is about 2 hours west of Melbourne. Australia Bronies in particular, and there's also a group called Australia Bronies, which encompasses sort of everyone kind of thing. Is there a difference between Australian Bronies and other Bronies? I don't really think so. I think we're sort of part of this one big happy family, and I think when I started, I was, how do I put it? I would approach very fanatical about the show, about what it represents, and now it's I've sort of quite loosened up a lot. And that has had a lot to do with a group called Team OK, and that's been a very interesting enterprise as well, and I'm glad to be involved with that.
Yeah, I mean, I know that you, as part of Team OK, you've done some work as being a publicist for them. I mean, one thing that I've always found, particularly beforehand when I was kind of an outsider looking in on the community, is how charitable Bronies can be towards each other and towards outsiders, particularly Team OK, which I think might be that's the most obvious example that I can think of at the moment of the fandom coming together to help out those in need.
Absolutely. Team OK, I'm in charge of looking after our Facebook and Twitter, so that side of social media, and definitely, yes, trying to promote the streams and get them out there as to many people as possible. So the way I see it, the more people that know about it, the more people that, will donate. So that's definitely a challenge every time, but I believe we're growing, and we're sort of trying to utilize some of what I call Team OK champions, which people that we've helped in the past who can help, spread the word of the cause. And it's a good cause. And then we've got other groups worldwide, Bronies for Good, and, and many others and like you're saying, we're not just a family, not just a community, but we really want to. It's partly we've really blamed the show because it really reaffirmed a lot of the core human values that we're most often taught to forget as we grow up, or the line is constantly sort of continues to blur. But like you're saying, there's a lot of room to do good. Now that I'm in a much better financial position, I can do a lot more.
And my head just went blank. I completely apologise. That, as you can tell, I might be the one that falls asleep first, because clearly my head is going somewhere else at the moment.
So, is it safe to say that I blanked you, or should I say flanked you?
You flanked me. Oh, crikey, and a pun as well. Ty and Doug is going to kill me, because it's like I've been planning. I had as a guest on a while back, Ty and Daga, and he quite likes his puns, so we were having a little bit of a pun off when we were on the show together, and it's just I've been trying to practice ever since to make sure that when I have him on next, I can defeat him in the pun wars, and he just got me there, and I didn't even have anything prepared. I'm actually really disappointed in myself.
Well, I'm sort of been learning from the best. Lycan, he is the pun king, that's the only one I know, and he will say pun after pun after pun. Some really cringing, but some of them actually are really good. It's a competition in Texas, which is a pun competition as well. So it wouldn't surprise me that he would be there if he's in the States at some point. But in speaking of the States, I did the interview at request with Everfree Northwest, 2 representatives, and they've sort of given me the olive branch, and if I do have an invitation to go if I so happen to. So, and they were great as well. And that was another sort of group interview, interviewing 2 people at once. But this is a good prerequisite because for a little bit later this year, prior to Brony Scott, I'm Brony and I'm Proud will be interviewing the entirety of the Highland Bronies group. So that's really exciting. Looking forward to that. It's my first probably full group interview. We'll see what happens.
I'm excited now. That'll be fantastic.
Oh, it's going to be a lot of fun. Absolutely a lot of fun. And at the moment, because I have so many guests lined up for the next 2 years, I'm now saying to people, it's like, if you want to be bumped up, please let me know. Because the show list now for I'm Brony and I'm Proud is about 2 years down the track. And the way I'm sort of doing it now, it may even take 4 years to get through all those guests. So that's going to be very interesting. And they're already getting some cool names on. And you're probably wondering, how did I get such a huge list? Well, Team OK is part to blame because I've started to pay attention where everyone's sharing, their favorite artists. And I thought, well, I love this work. I'm going to ask this person to be on the show. And it kind of just really grew from there very quickly. And then, of course, combining with the power of Twitter approaching, trying to get more sort of special guests on. And now it's sort of, it's still sticking to a sort of 10 to 12 episode season structure. And we've got it looks like it's going to be another 14 seasons of the show.
That's a season schedule that most TV shows would be envious to have, to know that the next 14 seasons are booked.
Oh, pretty much. So yeah, and then the way I will sort of try to do it, I try to do interviews in batches. So I'll try to knock off all the 10 interviews in one sort of, one batch, and then the hard part is editing. I'm not sure if it's hard as it is time consuming. At least the way I like to do it. Like we've talked about, I like to say, we waste so much time breathing, umming and ahhing, likes, and of course my new personal favorite, your nose. And so I guess the way I do it is like I'd want to create a really tight, jam-packed episode where there's so much to say, and sometimes it's just not enough. And plus I know that I've seen and listened to podcasts, that can go up to an hour long, and it's like, oh gosh, why didn't you edit? Please, please. Of course, people, and the reason why is it's a lot of work, and that can get the better of me, and it has in the past, because it seems to be quite this monumental task at times. But good friends have told me, look, make the content in your own time, I guess. When you've got it, air it. If not, well, you can't really, I guess. So why do I do it? I love the community. I love the people that I interview, and what started off as curiosity, finding out what a brony was, evolved to quickly become making friends through the show. So making new friends, and of course, being in Queensland at the time when I moved up from Melbourne, I knew no one, and it was a great way to make new friends. And at the time, I've actually made some of the best friends I ever thought possible. So close, I treat them as brothers. So shout out to Spinning Riverman Toxic Hoof if you're listening, and of course they are on Twitter and Facebook.
But the thing, I'll tell you why, because obviously you were saying there that part of why you do this is just your love of the community and the people in it, and being a part of that. But I think it's only fair that we go back to Genesis and go, well, right, how did you actually get into the show?
How did I get into the show? It was a dark time. It was a dark time, actually. I got into the show April 2012. I don't exactly remember the exact date, but it was definitely April 2012. It was during a time where I had lost my job. My girlfriend left me, and she had her reasons, I guess. And I was feeling depressed. That's absolutely. And then I've been a sort of long-standing member of a group called the online community called the Rhett and Link community. Now, for those who don't know Rhett and Link, where have you been living?
I know this. I know precisely what you're on about. I know this group.
And very recently, Rhett and Link handed over the keys officially to the mods of the community. So now it's a 100% fan-run community. So that was really cool. And I'm an admin. I actually run the My Little Pony group on on the community. And but yeah, going back to the story, I was on a chat one day, and the guy said, "Hey, you got to watch this documentary." It's like, okay, well, you like documentaries? Like, yeah. Ballad of a Brony by Saberspark. A brilliant piece of work. Kind of a random thing, it's I think he did it as part of his thesis on deviant cultures. What culture did he do the documentary on? The Bronies. So, and I think at this time the Brony fandom was already sort of, I guess, 2 years old, roughly. I watched the whole 1.5 hour documentary. It actually answered a lot of questions that I didn't even know I had. And then he said, okay, now watch this first episode. I watched it. The elements of friendship really rang true with me. And I've always had trouble with friendships. It's been, for the major thing is that I've always been different. And I was born different, or should I say unique. And it hasn't been an easy road at all. And then I watched the second episode, and I thought, and I just kept going. And being reminded of, the good things that, to be honest, I forgot and probably not necessarily paid attention to, because I've encountered the real rough end of the stick most of my life. And at the moment, where I am now, I'm actually experiencing the soft end. And it's a great change. And that's just in my, professional life. So I'm very curious to see where it goes from there. What's been really cool about the Brony community, about the show, about I'm Brony and I'm Proud, I've learned so much about social media. And frankly, because the fandom was birthed in social media and the far reaches of 4chan, may have not checked out yet because of the reputation of 4chan. If I thought the Bronies of New South Wales were tough, wow.
4chan are kind of like
yeah, they might just eat me alive. It's like, you're a Brony, and here's all our reasons. But because I've learned so much about the power of social media and how it can work, it's not too often where you see what you've learned in the Brony community translates into your professional career and it actually helps it. And that's actually what's starting to happen as well. I'm starting to really implement a lot what I've learned about social media from what I've learned in the Brony community and how people have used it to their advantage. translating that into my professional life, and it's going quite well. So it kind of makes sense for me to continue doing the show, because the more I do it, the more I learn. And of course, I've learned a lot more by being in the Australia Bronies React group, headed by the Highland Brony, at Highland Brony on Twitter, and that's been a very sort of a new project, I guess, where we all do blind reactions to season 5 episodes, and so far the best one has been our reactions to episode 100, and well, everyone knows, wow, if you watch the episode, just see how we react to it. So where that particular works on YouTube, and the Highland Brony, he works extremely hard. He edits as long as I do to get these videos out, and they're beautiful pieces of work too. So I think that's why they draw the line of collaboration. Otherwise, if by doing that and doing the podcast, it's pretty much, I think that's all the time I have in the week for. But although recently I've had a much more active social life, and that can be very distracting. So hopefully I find a balance.
Oh, definitely. Well, I'm glad that doing your work in the community, I mean, it's helped you out professionally and personally. I mean, that's what we want at the end of the day. I mean, that kind of engagement and the joy you can get out of it, I mean, I can attest to it as well. It's been a fantastic experience, and I'm glad it's been a great one for yourself as well. And dare I say, I know we're actually running out of time, but can I say thank you so much for coming on the show, Lucas. It's been a joy having you on.
No, it's an absolute pleasure.
And just for the audience as well, perhaps you could tell us just where we can find you.
Okay, the best place to find me is on SoundCloud, Sound loud? No. Yeah, it's loud! Yeah. So it's soundcloud.com/IBAIP show. But if that's a little too difficult for you, you can always find us on Twitter at IBAIP show, where we post pretty much all our content there. And of course, there's Facebook, and we've also recently launched on YouTube. But for all the links, the best place to go to is soundcloud.com/IBAIP show.
Alrighty, and we'll put all those links in the description below, so you'll be able to see them there, and you'll be able to see all of his work and all the interviews for the next 14 seasons he's got lined up. I am completely jealous, I am not going to lie.
Oh, don't be jealous. It's going to be, so much work. Oh, but I love it.
I know, but I do get one little joy, is the fact that while you've got 14 seasons to go through, we're reaching the end of ours. We've only got one episode after this, and, well, I don't want to give away the guests, but, they're so cool. We've got an Australian Brony, and we've got a Scottish Brony, and it's not the same episode, by the way. We're not putting on repeat. It is actually two separate people. But I tell you what, you're going to absolutely love the episode when it comes out. I can't wait for you to see it. But for those of you watching, thank you so much for enjoying the show. My thanks to Lucas for coming on board. If you want to get in contact with us, of course, we've got our Facebook page at Highland Bronies. We also have our YouTube channel where you can watch this video if you're not watching it here already. If you're not watching it here, someone's pirated this video, you really should probably report it and watch the official video at the Highland Bronies YouTube channel. There's also our email address there in the About section, so if you want to say how good the show is, how bad the show is, if you want to come on as a guest, if you're a content creator, or you want to say something nice about Midnight Scribe or his hardworking producer Stuart Godav, I hope you guys enjoy the show. I hope I'll see you all next week on Midnight Scribe's Creative Vibes, and of course the last word is, as always, please subscribe.